Every town has a ghost story that's been passed down through the generations. But what if those legends were true? My name is Miranda Young, and I'm the Ghost Biker. Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday night. We're watching the Ghost Biker Garage Live, and I am your host, the Ghost Biker, and I am excited to be here on this March 14th here. I can't believe we're already mid-March. It seems like it just started. It seems like, honestly, that January and February just kind of creeped by. But we're glad to be here. Been working on some cool events. Also been working on getting these episodes re-released. Hopefully going to be doing that here in April. We're just kind of working on the details, still going through evidence from the investigations. So we'll have more on that here in a little bit. But just want to say hello to everyone over here in the chat room. I don't know if you can hear, but I have got some crazy loud frogs outside. My pond is just right outside of the farmhouse here, and you can't even hardly walk outside without hearing the frogs because it is so loud. So if you can hear it on my microphone, which is super sensitive, I do apologize. That we'll just say it's ambiance and that it kind of sets the mood. So just want to say hello to Mr. Daryl Paulette. Thank you so much for tuning in here. Susan Purcell, good evening to you. Jolly Jeffers, Miss Lori West, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone that tuned in on our earlier show, which was the Jailhouse Informant podcast. They're live from the historic Scott County Jail, doing back-to-back podcasts on Thursday night. I appreciate everyone that tunes in and spends your evening with me. Miss Sonia Thompson from The Walking Dead, hello, and thank you for watching. Mr. Bob Burnell, it's good to see you again. And Karen has got some super loud peepers in her vernal pool in her yard. Yeah, they are really loud right now, but we had a beautiful day today. Here in East Tennessee, I think it was like 77 degrees. Couldn't ask for better weather. The only way it'd be better if we were out on the motorcycle. And unfortunately, I had to work today, so I wasn't able to do that. But glad everyone is here. Last week, we had an absolutely amazing show with the guys and gals from Staticom Project. If you missed that episode, go back and watch it. And if you watched it, go back and watch it again, because that show, we covered some really cool things. And I'm still honestly blown away by the evidence that we were playing from Ron and from Lourdes and from the Rothmans. I mean, they're doing some amazing stuff here in the paranormal, and, especially with ITC Communications, just mind-blowing. If you get the opportunity to see those guys live, hear any of their presentations, you need to go do that. But like I said, go check that episode out. Check them all out if you've missed any of the shows. We've had some great people on. Glider, Letriana Brown, lots of great folks this year. So I'm really proud of the shows that we've been putting out, and you guys that help share that out and with your questions and comments and stuff. And so if you don't mind, if whenever you have a question, please put those in all caps, and I will definitely try to get that. I want to make sure that I don't miss anyone whenever we're on here talking. So that would be fantastic. And if I don't get to it, I will definitely go back, look, and we will get those pulled up, because I know, if you're like me, I love tonight's topic, and you guys are probably going to have some questions and comments on that. Before we get to tonight's guest, I do want to pull up just a couple things we've been working on here. We mentioned it the other day, but we've got our third annual Blessing of the Bikes event that's going to be taking place at the historic Scott County Jail. It is a roll-through bike blessing, and that's going to take place on Saturday, April 13th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's going to take place on the road right there in front of the historic Scott County Jail. We're going to close the road down throw some tables out there on the road, and got a food truck. Dean's Pit Stop's going to be coming up. And so you'll actually be able to ride your bike around the square, pull up in front of the jail under the Christian Motorcyclist Association's tent, and they will give you a personal bike blessing. Going to be kicking off 2024 right with a bike blessing. Now, what makes this different from some of the other traditional bike blessings? A lot of the time they have a set time that it starts. You got to be there. It's a mass bike blessing, but we're doing this. It's a personal roll through because we know folks have a lot of rides going on here in the early spring, and so we want you to be able to either start your ride at this location, or if you're passing through, plan your ride to come through the area. You'll be able to roll up, get your blessing, and then be able to go to the food truck there and get you a breakfast biscuit. So we're saying come up and get you a biscuit and a blessing, and you'll be glad you did. We'll also have tours of the historic Scott County Jail that you can get your tickets at the door for that. And then we'll also, for the bikes that come, we've got little helmet stickers that are in the design of our logo that we've got right there that we did. So come check it out. Saturday, April 13th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern at the historic Scott County Jail. Another quick thing for all the bikers out there, I have not shared this out yet, but it's been sent to production. So let me get that pulled up here. We're partnering yet again with RM Brooks General Store there in Rugby, Tennessee. I know a lot of you on here have done some of our Ghost Biker bike rides, and some of our haunted rides, they end at the RM Brooks store. But we are having a motorcycle appreciation day on June 1st. It's going to take place all day, and it's going to be from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time. And if you've never been to RM Brooks store, you want to load up on your bike or load up your car and get there as soon as you can, because they got the best bologna sandwiches in East Tennessee, and it's like stepping back in time. If you love history, you're going to love RM Brooks General Store. And Tiffany Terry and the ladies that work there, they're just the best people around. And so there's going to be live music all day long, and the first 100 bikes get a free gift. I am actually going to be hosting a motorcycle ride that day. It's going to take place. We're still working on the ride itself, but it will include a trip to the historic Scott County Jail, lunch at RM Brooks. We're going to be giving away something from the jail to the riders there, probably a poker chip. I'm not 100% sure, but we will cap that number, but it will include a stop there at Brooks for their Bike Appreciation Day. So we're kind of getting partners and stuff together for whenever we do these rides, so that we can really show our bikers some love and get out and just have a good day. So there'll be more information about that, including the ride, and the Biker Appreciation Day will also have the event there on the page. So be sure to check out the Ghost Biker page, and probably Historic Scott County Jail will have something about that on as well as RM Brooks. So those are the big things that are coming up. That, as well as working on the episodes. As you guys know, if you watch season 6, we did all live episodes. Well, we're doing a re-release of all those episodes, and we're shooting for April because we're going through and we're getting all the evidence put out there, getting the evidence or the episodes produced. And so as soon as we know more about those dates, we'll definitely go ahead and put that on there as well. So that's coming up, as well as a few other events. We're working on our event for with Harley Davidson that's going to take place in October in Kentucky. So yeah, just stay tuned for some of that stuff coming up. Now, I want to go ahead and get to tonight's guest, because she has been a guest on my show before. A lot of you folks have, if you've not, if you didn't see that episode, then you probably have seen where I've been on her show. Some of the folks in the chat room have been on her show as well. But we're so excited to have her back, and that is Miss Deedee Jebrail with her Dream Interpretations by Deedee, as well as Haunted Hour podcast. I mean, this is a very busy lady. So we're going to get her on here and talk about everything she's got going on. So, hey, Deedee.
Hi.
Hey, thank you so much for coming back on tonight and talking about some of the cool things that you're doing.
Yeah, I'm excited to share.
Yeah, I mean, you've just taken off with this, with your dream interpretations and podcasting and stuff that you're doing. I'm really particularly interested, not just in the dream interpretation side, but how you're applying this to the paranormal and combining the two.
Yeah. Well, I have a great love for the paranormal and just like digging into what does it all mean and then the dream interpretations. And so it's funny because we were talking before that I had done a dream experiment. I started off with a dream experiment that John Tenney did, and that like put that idea in my head. And then, a couple years later, here I am doing my own experiments, which is really exciting. And these ideas just come to me and I do it. And the most mind blowing thing is that they work, and other people, and watching other people like come at me and tell me what they've experienced. And it's just like, I don't even know what to do with the information except say that there does seem to be a collective, we're able to tap into the same well of information, it seems like, while we're sleeping. It's fascinating.
Yeah, and so let's just kind of back up just in case some of the folks, I know a lot of the folks over here know you, but just in case they don't, tell us a little bit about what you do, how you got into the paranormal, and how you got into the side of it of dream interpretations.
Well, as far as dreams go, I've always been somebody who remembered my dreams. I've always had weird dreams that like you wake up and they're either so amazing that like real life seemed boring, or they were so like scary that I needed to like understand what was going on. So I've always been interested in dream interpretation and doing them for family and friends. And I even got into handwriting analysis and the whole bit. And then when I was in my 20s, I lived in a house that I had paranormal experiences in there, and so did my ex-husband. And it was like, at the time, I didn't think too much about it because it wasn't so over the top for me. It was for people who would come over, which I always found like really interesting. But years later, and I would like always once in a while meet a friend who like we would talk about the paranormal. But years ago, you would talk about the paranormal like at home in secret, over drinks or coffee or something. You would share your stories and be happy that they had stories too. And then years later, I come to like about 2015, and I found Twitter, and there was a chat group called Haunted Hour, and they were talking about paranormal, and I was like, oh, these people were sharing these experiences. I'm like, wow, these people are like talking about this publicly. And then I saw like the different shows and stuff. So that's when I started like talking about it, like just to others and stuff. And then I ended up taking over Haunted Hour. So that's kind of the short version, I guess.
Isn't that crazy how there was a point in time? And of course, I guess it depends on the area you're from, but isn't that crazy
Yeah.
how there was a point in time where it wasn't so mainstream and normal? I kind of feel like I'm having an off day if I don't talk about the
Yeah.
paranormal in a day. Of course, I mean,
Yeah.
my job being what it is, but it's kind of crazy when you look back at that it was more of just a conversation among friends or kind
Yeah.
of a hush hush inside the house kind of thing.
Yeah, it really was. It's really changed. I don't think people even realize it. And I mean, you still run into people who are, if you say something, they'll be like, oh, what are you talking about? And they immediately dismiss you. But it's more rare now that people do that. More people are interested.
Yeah, yeah, and thank you for letting me know that, D Hoot. I was updating that when I was talking to Deedee, and then we got off on a totally different topic, and, let me
Yeah.
update that.
You were putting out some great ideas. I'm really excited about that.
Let's see. Thank you. I apologize for that. I was in the middle of typing it, and we totally went uh in a different direction. So thank you. Yeah, so with the dream stuff, so you've been doing the dreams for over 30 years now.
Yeah, I mean, I've been analyzing them for friends and family and myself. It's only been in the last maybe 2.5 years where I like opened it up to like others
Hmm.
and strangers and let them send me their dreams, and I would analyze the dreams for them. So that's kind of like new, but the dream analysis itself isn't new.
Okay. Have you found that a lot of people that I mean that they're pretty accepting of what you or that they originally thought. So when you interpret their dreams or and analyze them, have you found that it's kind of what they originally thought, or was it like, oh, I it's something totally different than what um, I thought it would be? You know, when I guess the responses from the people that you are interpreting dreams for.
Yeah, it's kind of a mix. Some people who are really into dreams and stuff, and they're kind of like working with me, they'll be like, yeah, that's what I thought. Or we kind of bounce off each other and come to something. People who send it to me, especially like through the website, a lot will come back to me and say, oh my God, like you can tell their mind is blown and they're running with it because it literally solved something that they couldn't figure out. Sometimes we block ourselves from understanding it when somebody else, like sometimes there's an obvious situation and you point it
Mhm.
out. And then once they say it, you're like, oh my God, yes, but you need that somebody to kind of point something out. So I've had both. Every once in a while, I'll get somebody who doesn't respond, which
Mhm.
makes me crazy because I don't know if it was true and they didn't like it. Or if they were like they
Ah.
weren't accepting of it. I never know what, that's happened to me, I think twice. And so I don't know, what became of it. So that makes that like probably gives me dreams thinking about it.
Now, do you dream a lot?
Yeah, I dream a lot. Sometimes I have to set an intention not to dream because I'll have like 3 to 5 dreams a night and I'll remember them and I'll wake up all night long because I've
Wow.
trained myself through different experiments and things. And so it can become really bad for me and disturbing because my mind wants to dig deeper and deeper and at a really fast pace. And I
Mhm.
need to slow it down. So, like a couple of nights ago, I actually set the intention that I don't want to have any dreams. I just want peaceful sleep. I need rest, and it actually worked. If I feel like I might have had a dream, but I didn't remember anything about it, and I did have better rest. So you got to. I feel like when you go to bed, just like in life, when you're going anywhere, you have to kind of be intentional
Mhm.
about what you expect when you go to sleep. So if you just want rest, ask for rest. If you want to learn something, ask to learn something. Like be intentional when you go to bed.
I love that. I love that. And that was actually gonna be my next question was, did you have to train yourself to be able to remember these dreams and to even dream, I mean, just absolutely dream?
Well, I've always remembered dreams, but I've trained myself to remember them better.
Mhm.
I thought I was remembering my dreams, but after doing some dream experiments, especially I did one for myself for 20 days,
Mhm.
and I would wake up all night long. So I would wake up like 3 to 5 times, write out the dreams, and I was very into it. And I realized there was a lot of things that I thought I was remembering my dreams, but not to the point where I was starting to remember numbers. I was remembering things that people said to me, which I never could remember what people said to me. I would see what people were writing down. Like that was stuff that I actually trained myself to see. And it doesn't happen every time, but I'm better about it. I also
Mhm.
found out, like, you go to like, you dream and you're like in the city and you're shopping or whatever you're doing, you're driving on a road, going to a coffee shop, whatever it is. Well, I started to realize that, and it was through somebody, I was on someone else's podcast and he said something that made me realize that I'm going to the same city each time. And for some reason in the dreams,
Oh.
I didn't recognize it, but now I realize I have a set few places that I go to over and over again. It's repetitive and I didn't even realize that,
That's
until, so I'm
interesting.
always learning and developing my ability. But sometimes, like I said, it gets too much overwhelming. I'm spending too much time. Like I always worry about like what it does to your mind, like if you
Mhm.
overwhelm your mind with too much information, it's not healthy. So that's why I kind of like slow down, take a little break.
So, is there usually more to our dreams than what we remember? Because there was something, and I'll kind of explain that a little further. Because, like, I know whenever I sent you a couple dreams last time, I didn't realize that there was significance if, like, like you used your right hand or looked to the right or over a certain shoulder. Um, I guess because I never really thought about the detail of that in like when I'm dreaming it. So, is there usually more to those dreams, like these little significant symbols with either color or direction or side or that sort of thing that maybe we just don't remember because either we don't see them as significant or it does it is it something we've just maybe not noticed? in those
I think
dreams?
we tend to focus on the main themes in a dream and we don't look at the details. It's not until, and that's why we suggest write out your dream, read it to yourself, and then as you're reading it, visualize everything you saw, and you'll begin to realize that, say, when you were walking, you heard the crunch of the rocks beneath your feet, or you did look to the left. Like I can visualize dreams, both of those dreams I just mentioned of myself, where I can now pull back that as if it was a memory. And so all your senses are being triggered in a dream. You have to train yourself. When you write out it, when you first start, you can put down, what did I hear? What did I see? What did I smell? Everything. Like you want to say, it's like you're going to talk to a detective and you need to give him all the information. Like in this is about a murder and he needs every detail. And so you've got to go through and give every detail. Like you're accountable to somebody for this information, and you'll start to like remember. And the more you do it, the more you'll develop the skill.
Yeah, that makes sense because they say that, like, as far as eyewitnesses, people are horrible eyewitnesses because they don't remember these little details. And to be a good eyewitness to a crime or whatever, you need to constantly be training yourself to notice everything
Yeah.
that's going on around you. I would imagine that's the same way in your dreams.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like we've got a couple questions here. First, D Hoot makes a good comment. Interestingly, the dream interpretation goes hand in hand with the tarot pulls for the dreamer.
Yeah.
Um, and then Ronnie asks, what does it mean when you have the same dream off and on for years?
Well, you got to look at the dream. And so when you're having a repetitive dream, something's triggering it in your waking life. So it could be a stress dream, like when you've reached a certain amount of stress, this is your go to dream. And it's your brain letting you know, okay, we've had enough of this stress or whatever it is, that the emotion that's being triggered. And that, so when you have that dream, you got to decide, what is the dream telling me emotionally? So what were you feeling in the dream? Are you afraid? Are you stressed? You got to figure that out. Then you've got to say, what's going on in my life now that is creating that emotion? So like if you're at work and you've got a boss that is horrible, and maybe 10 years ago when your dream started, you maybe had a parent that was horrible or a friend that was horrible, whatever it is, it's your brain letting you know this is happening again, and that's just a story that it's telling, reminding you of, with that, if that makes sense.
No, that does. I guess it just goes to show that our brains never really cut off.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's our subconscious is in my opinion so intelligent and so, like, I mean, now that I've dug into my subconscious, it's made me consciously smarter because I understand things on a higher level, I guess, and it's
Yeah.
it's really amazing.
I love that. And Ronnie says, yeah, that makes total sense. Great question, Ronnie. Let's see here. Bob Burnell says, back in the 70s, there was a thing going around where someone would stare at a person's photo before going to bed and say to themselves while drifting off, wake up at a certain time. Funny, it seemed to work. Hmm, interesting.
Person's photo before going to bed and say to themselves while drifting off, wake up at a certain time, meaning that that person's going to wake up that you're staring at, or that you're going to wake up at a certain time. So you're waking that person up at a certain time. That's interesting.
Well, that's what I was thinking it meant, but
Yeah.
then again, maybe that's interesting.
That's an experiment too. That sounds
Yeah,
like a dream experiment.
that's almost like it's not really astral projection, but it's almost I don't know what that
Yeah.
would be, but that's definitely
That's a really
interesting.
great experiment to try out with somebody, to have,
Uh-huh.
say, I'm going to stare at your picture and tell you to wake up, and see if they wake up at that time. That'd be pretty easy to figure out.
Yeah. D Hoot says, when you set your intent, do you think you remember more details or more of a dream?
Well, I think you will, only because you're intentionally doing it, and so you've set your mind to, just like anything. If you're, trying to do something, you're gonna remember more than if you were just like dreaming. And I call it free dreaming, where you're just like
Mm-hmm.
going to sleep. You're just letting your mind do whatever it wants. You're not like setting an intention or having a purpose other than getting rest, you know?
Now, have you been able to set your mind to where, like, say you've had a dream before and it was a good dream, or you want to know the ending of it or know more of the meaning of it? Have you been able to essentially put yourself to sleep and be able to sort of either go into the dream where you left off, or even dream about the same thing, almost like a continuing story? Or do you think that that's something kind of harder to intentionally control?
That was one of my dream experiments, was to it was repetitive dreams and then dream reentry. And a few people were able to like partially re-enter their dreams. So it was only for 7 days. I feel like if we had spent maybe 20 days trying, that maybe
Mhm.
there would have been more success. But basically having triggering the repetitive dream, I think somebody actually did go into their repetitive dream, but it changed a little bit, because sometimes when you have a repetitive dream, especially if it's scary or any kind of a dream, when you get older, everything has changed probably in your life, the way you view the past, everything. So it may be the same dream a little bit, but it may show you how you've evolved and maybe where you need to work on it more. So it
Mhm.
is good, that try to re-enter dreams if you have a purpose and trying to find something out. I
Mhm.
myself like can partially do it. I've not had like really big success where I'm like, oh, I definitely want to go back. Because mine was, I wanted to go back. I used to have a repetitive dream about a green Victorian house.
Mm.
And I loved it. I used to walk around the house and everything. So that was my intention, but I ended up at a white inn instead. So
Oh.
my mind got me close, but it was like, no, we're going to go here instead. So I myself didn't have great success, but I did have other people in the study who were
Mhm.
able to. And then it's funny because when I did that, I had them all start at my white inn. And I had the people tell
Oh.
me, so I only told them that it was an 1800s white inn. And I told them I was standing in the window looking out, and I had them describe to me what they saw in their dream. And I did have somebody who, when they looked out their window, they saw the same dirt road that I did. So I thought
Oh,
that was
wow.
interesting. And then a couple of people knew exactly where the bed was positioned in the inn. So, I mean, we're
Wow.
connected that way. So it's kind of like they were in my dream, and they did continue on for some of the people. So,
Okay. Well, and that's kind of cool. And I see a lot of questions here. We'll get to. I will definitely make sure I get to your questions. That leads me to speaking about your dream studies. If that's one of the things that I think that's really fun and interesting about what you do, is that you look at these concepts and you look at these dreams, and then you center some of these different studies around them. If people want to be a part of one of your dream studies, what's the best way to do that? Is it best to just follow your page and see for when because you put out when you do these studies, right?
yeah.
Asking for
Yeah.
people.
I post it on Facebook. I always try to post it on YouTube too. Like they have a part, like community, where you can share things as a
Yeah.
post. And so I'll try, for anybody who doesn't do social media, I'll post it there as well. And I'll
Hmm.
talk about it like, on whatever I'm on. But yeah, I do them. I've done like about 4 of them, and I have not come up with a concept yet that I want to try for the next dream study.
Hmm.
But I've done a few different ones. I did one with the dream reentry and the repetitive dreams. I did another one. The most recent one I did was to find a dream talisman. And so I didn't have anybody send anything in I had 2 people actually. I take that back. 2 people sent something in. But for me, I had the most profound one, I think, is that I dreamt that I was walking in a parking lot, and I had this need to spit,
Hmm.
and I spit out a rock. And the next day,
Oh.
when I was in the Dollar Tree, there was a rock. I have it right here, and it
Oh,
says
wow.
dream,
Whoa.
right? And I had set the intention to find something and then usually dream talismans are like they can be rocks and stuff, but it's usually got like an intention or an inscription in it. And it said dream. So I was like, well, that's really cool.
I mean, you can't get
Just
no
little
more
things like
obvious than
that.
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I
So
think
do you
the
think
best one. Oh, go ahead.
No, no, no. Go on, please.
I think the best dream study I did was the one with my doll anime, because I got
Yes.
her because she was causing nightmares in a little boy. And so the mother gave the doll away, even though it was like her beloved doll. So it was like nothing like haunting or scary about it. Nobody died, but he was having nightmares. So I adopted the doll. And then I actually did have a night. Some people would consider a nightmare. Nightmares for me are kind of cool because I look at the whole like imagery and what's going on. But
Yes.
I guess I had a nightmare about her. She was looking at me in the mirror, and it was supposed to be me looking in the mirror. It was her. So I decided to use her as like the connection for everybody. So everybody had to try to connect with Anna Mae as they went to sleep. I posted an image of what she looked like so people could focus on the doll and
Mhm.
try to connect with her. I had 12 people who did the study. 11 people had experiences either with her. Otherwise, it was a collective thing where it turned out she was sitting next to a red Matchbox car, and they were supposed to walk into my office and try to see what was with her. And I had several items with her. And in the end, everybody saw a few people saw the car. They knew there was a car. A lot of people were coming up with the color green for some reason. And then in the end, a few people said that she wanted the car painted green. And a psychic who also was in the study said that she's like flat out said she's sitting next to a red Matchbox car and she wants it to be
Wow.
green. And but all the other people had come in and saw green and about cars, and like it connected so wildly that I was like, I'm amazed, because like I thought people, and then a couple of people actually described what it looked like in my office and how it was like to what's behind me. You walk in through the door and my kitchen's like a hallway. And one guy described how he was walking down a hallway. He said, I thought it was a kitchen, but then I thought it was a hallway, which is totally my kitchen. And then he said he came into the room and to the left was the doll, which she was. And then he said, but there was a weird basement, which I think was my garage, which is on the other side of me. And he said there was a bunch of boxes. He gave such a good description. And then he said when he was coming out of the office that he saw like a giant anime version of her because he saw the Raggedy Ann hair coming
Okay.
at him. And then that woke him up and freaked him out. And then another guy, Justin, he
Wow.
also saw the doll and described like I have. He said it were pictures, and he said he couldn't make out what the pictures were. It's because it's like my licenses and stuff, so there's nothing to see. It's documents, and so I mean, it's just like so. I ended up giving her the green car because I had a green Matchbox car, and I thought that's so interesting that. Was it just because everybody was focusing on the doll together that somehow that pulls your subconscious consciousness, I don't know, into a room? And then I had experiences. I was sitting in the living room, so we had a camera set up, and I wanted to see if there was any shadow figures, which as far as I know, we didn't get any. There was like 12 hours of footage, which I regretted. I was like, oh my God.
Like, why didn't I do
12
2
hours.
hours?
So, but I was in the living room in the middle of the night. I heard a woman scream, "Get out." And my neighborhood's really quiet. It could be that somebody, yelled, "Get out." But I mean, it sounded like it was coming from inside my house. I'm the only woman here. I don't know. Then a little while later, it was like 3 or something. I put all the timestamps down on my blog. I heard like a rustling in my office, and I don't know what it was. Nothing moved as far as I could tell. And then I had 2 dreams when I finally went to sleep. There was a man was saying to me, "I'm afraid to go in." And I said, "That's okay. Just put your sheet over the door so you can get back," which I thought was weird. And then, and I was wondering if that's the guy who ran into anime. He was like, "I can't get out of here." And then I had another dream too, which I can't remember, but it was just the whole thing was fascinating and it was enjoyable for me. And I think everybody in the study,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I remember seeing the call out for that, and I was going to do that, and I don't remember what I had going on, and it slipped my mind. But it's fascinating about that because it makes you wonder, one, so do you know anything about the folks that participated in the study? Did any of them have, psychic abilities or any type of spiritual gifts that you know of? Did you know any of that information?
I'm trying to think about who was in the study. Well,
I
I mean,
know
I
I
feel
know
like,
Christy participated in it.
yeah, Chris was in it. I feel like everybody is heavily interested in the paranormal And I
Okay.
think that opens you up. I think just setting the intention, because I don't think anyone went into this thinking it wouldn't work. I think they all
Mhm.
went in with like a healthy curiosity that I want this to work and I want to see what happens. And I really think that we all have like this ability to tap in.
Mhm.
It was more than I expected. And I was like, I'm so glad I set like a deadline so that people aren't just like traveling in and out of my office. It was kind of weird. It was like I actually felt like, my God, there was two people that it seems like on some level actually were walking around in my office, which I don't know.
Do you think it was a form of astral projection for any of
I
them?
think so. Yeah, I really do. I mean,
I
for them
mean,
to
that makes
visually see
sense.
some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then other people I think were connecting more psychically, just downloading the information, you know? So I think they had different ways of connecting too.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, I don't even know where to go with this because I'm so fascinated
Yeah.
by but there's so many directions because it does it gets into an astral projection. It gets into what item were they connecting with? You know, it'd be interesting to know what their focus was. Remote viewing. I mean, there's a lot of different directions that can go because I mean come on that's not coincidence and that's not good guessing,
Right.
you know.
No.
I mean a matchbox car, I mean what, you know, I wouldn't go there. And then even just, you know, color or you know the um I don't know, it just it's
Yeah. Well,
fascinating.
I mean, just for people to all be focusing on, like, a lot of people, and it came to people differently. Like one
Hmm.
person, Sam, she just like when she started to think about the doll, she just got hit with like green. And then she
Okay.
said that she saw a car, and all she could say was it was definitely not like a Barbie car. She goes, it was like a small car. So she was already knowing it was a toy car, and she was hit with the green. Then you had another guy who thought he was like in an auto shop and he was repairing cars, and he had a
Oh.
desire to paint his car green, which he said he would never paint a car green. So he was like, that was really weird, you know? Um, and then a couple of people just got like, there's something about green. And then Danny said that she was focusing on it and she saw like a flash of green. And then she's actually the one that Anime was holding a Zener card. It was the star.
Okay.
And she said that she saw Anime holding a note card and she described how it was standing and that it said, she thought it said thank you. But if you think about it, a star represents like good job, thank you, whatever it is. And so she actually thought she heard a woman say thank you. So she connected like that way. And it's interesting because she's a tarot card reader. So she picked up on the
Okay.
card, right?
Mhm. Oh, that's okay, that's fascinating. And
Yeah.
so, and that kind of answers, like I said, I'm going through, we've got more questions here. So if I didn't get to yours, I'm not gonna skip it. Yeah, Ronnie had asked how the dream study works, which you essentially kind of explain that. But just to go into that further, whenever you get an idea on a dream study, you put a call out, right? And the instructions and
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah. What I'll do is, depending on the study, I'll always have you email me. I will, some of them I've made like little videos that are instructions and then put out like an instruction sheet. Sometimes I send like a little thing to help you, a chart to write down the information you're getting. Each one's a little different, but I never just say, except for the dream talisman, that one was kind of just a light one to see what you could do. Everything else is deeper than that. I do like a study questionnaire, an after study questionnaire. I guide you through it. A lot of them are like the 7-day study. We were in contact every day with the dream. So they would send me their dream. We would talk about it. And
Hmm.
then I would kind of give them instructions for the following night, what to do. So I kind of like stay with them throughout the whole process in case there's any
Hmm.
questions or whatever. So I try to make it so that that there aren't, and usually there aren't any questions. Like pretty much everybody knows where they're at, you know?
Yeah. And so I pulled up Dee Dee's Facebook page there a second ago. I'll pull it up again. She's got this great link tree page there that you guys can use to find all the different aspects of what Dee Dee is doing. But she's got her dream stories and her dream interpretations page, and Facebook. I mean, that's a great way too to see when she's got some of these studies and stuff coming up. So we'll pull more of these up here in just a few minutes. Let's see. Let me scroll back here a second. Um, okay. Wow, questions are coming in quick. Let's see here. Karen says, do you think there is different significance between dreams where you are watching yourself as opposed to being in your own body?
Yeah, and I mean, you can take that a couple of different ways. So if you look at it in a paranormal way, you're stepping out of your body, and maybe if you can lucid dream, you can turn around and continue on, versus a dream where you're looking at yourself. It's literally saying, look at yourself and asking you to, probably look at your dreams and what's going on, or, it's like a literal thing. So then I would say, if you're having a dream where you're looking at yourself, what else is going on? What do you see when you look at yourself? Do you see somebody who's sick? Do you see somebody who, is next to somebody they shouldn't be? Or what are you seeing in this dream? Because you need more than just the fact that you're looking at yourself, because that might be what your mind is just, hey, look at this. What's happening here? Versus maybe you're just stepping out of your body and you could walk around and it kind of maybe explore your house and what's going on. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Thank you, Karen. Great question. Let's see. Daryl says, I keep having a repetitive dream of a car wreck over and over, and it actually came true. So dreams do come true. Why
Yeah.
is that sometimes that some dream, I mean, is it because it is a premonition or a warning in some instances? What's been your
Well, I
experience
mean,
with that?
yeah, I mean, it's two things that I do believe that we get dreams that are warning dreams. And so it's hard to know, because if you have a dream that you're having a car wreck, is it a premonition or is it just a dream symbol? Because I mean, the car, universally, it's supposed to be that is the path. So are you a passenger or are you the driver? You should always be driving your own car in your dream. If you're not, that means someone's controlling an aspect of your life, right? But if you dream about having a car wreck, then I would look at, is it a road? Is it your car? Is there, when you are driving and do you suddenly see a sign that you saw in your dream? Definitely pull over. I
Right.
mean, you have to kind of look at the dream and remember it. Anytime you have a dream where you think, especially if it's repetitive and you think it's important, definitely write it down and kind of think about it. But try to remember where you're at. Because if you're just like on your dream roads, your fantasy roads,
Mhm.
then it's probably not a premonition. But if you're like driving down the road you drive down every day, then you need to start looking for the little signs and cues, because it could be, I
Mhm.
believe in, premonitions in
Yeah,
dreams. So,
and I mean that goes into a whole bunch of other questions like who's sending that warning, and then really it just goes to show that you have to always look at the bigger picture when you're trying to really find out those meanings.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that, it could be coming from a higher version of ourself that just knows more. It could be coming from that
Mhm.
collective consciousness. It could be coming from a spirit guide, from God, the Holy Spirit, somebody who's warning you. I think that anytime you're warned about things, you should pay attention. It could even
Mhm.
be that, in this case, it sounds like he did have a car accident, but in some other
Mhm.
cases, like if you keep dreaming you're having a car accident, is it letting you know that maybe there's a health issue that you need to check into? It's warning you about something. It might not be literal, but it's a warning about something. A car
Mhm.
crash, like it could also be as a symbol. You're driving your car, supposed to be your life path, and if you're having an accident, that means you're heading for trouble on your path. Your path is going to be interrupted because of something that's going on in your life.
Yeah. Um, that makes perfect sense. Let's see. Let me scroll a little bit more. Addie says that she has created settings for her dreams, and it's not always the same dream, but often the same place. I've been there for so many times, and she says if she were an artist, she could probably draw the detailed floor plan. That kind of sounds like your cityscape that you were talking about in several of the places that
Yeah.
you tend to visit.
Yeah. And I have a suggestion for you, Addie. What I started doing for my own dreams is, and I know some people don't like AI, but it has its purposes. And I go to Bing AI and I type in what I saw in my dream, like in little snippets. And then I just keep doing it until I get something really close to my dream. And then what I've started doing is putting all the images together so I can kind of relive my dream that way. But I agree, if I was an artist, oh my God, I would write a book.
I could imagine just how far you could take that with, not
Yeah.
just writing everything down, but writing it down and drawing the pictures. That would
Yeah.
actually be incredible.
Yeah.
Um, and Bob, I know he's commenting on what he had said earlier about that in the 70s. He says he was in the Air Force and they used to do that all the time. That's really
Oh, wow.
fascinating, Bob.
That's cool.
Let's see here. Um, now this is kind of interesting. He says there are groups who meet up in the dream world, travelers, I think they call themselves. So is that like a collective conscious type thing?
Well, it's like a collective dream, which in a way, I think the dream experiment kind of showed that you could. I tried to do that with another dream experiment to see if people either could connect with each other or a
Mhm.
spirit. And a lot of people connected with like loved ones. But I
Oh.
had them try to connect with each other. And I feel like there was only one instance where I was like, it was interesting that the one lady dreamt that she kept seeing, I think it was like playing cards, like flying off. And she does have psychic abilities, but she dreamt she
Okay.
saw cards like flying off to one side and then one card fly off to the other side. And the same day, another person wrote in that they had been trouble doing the dream experiment because they had a horrible headache, and I forget what she said, but there was something about it started on one side of her head, was really bad for a while, jumped to the other side of her head, and then it just left. And I thought, well, that's really interesting. Those kind of parallel. The way they told it, it really
Yes.
paralleled. I've myself have tried mutual dreaming. Me and my husband have tried it because like say,
Uh-huh.
oh, it's got to be somebody you're close to and everything, but we
Yeah.
haven't had great success with it. My parents have though. My mom, they didn't intentionally do it, but my mom and dad had the same dream the same night. And I thought that that was really interesting.
Ah.
So I think it's possible, but
Mhm.
I haven't had a whole lot of success with that. But I have heard people say it. I've seen studies.
Mhm.
Two psychiatrists had done that, but not on purpose. They had dreamt the same dream. They were both like at an archaeological dig and they
Mhm.
were digging in the desert. And so one guy called the other guy, like after a year, he calls him and because he had a dream about him. And the other guy's all, that's fun. I had a dream about you last night. So they each, after a year, admitted they had a dream about each other. And then so then they start, just they're both into these studies, they started telling the dream, but each told a part of it, and they were having the same dream. So that's interesting. So I think it's almost like random.
That's kind of what it sounds like. So let's kind of tie this a little bit more into the paranormal, because where you said you've got your fascination with the paranormal or your love for the paranormal. Um, do you believe, I know you've got some interesting theories on this. Do you believe that dreaming and the paranormal can be connected?
I do, in the sense that I think I've had a one woman, she had a dream that in her dream she was meeting up with her father and she asked him, please show me a sign when I'm awake. And when she went
Mhm.
out to her car in the morning, there was a cross on, somebody had put a cross onto the windshield of her car. You could see it was like a finger and it was a cross.
Yeah.
And she sent me that picture. I put it on my blog and I thought, I mean, that was a physical sign. Next morning, boom, there it was. So
Wow.
I really do think that we do connect. Sometimes, not every time you dream about a loved one is it them communicating with you, more than likely. But I think there are those
Right.
times where maybe, and then the way I say is that anytime you're having a dream that you think could be paranormal,
Hmm.
take your dream and see what happens during the day the next day. Is there a synchronicity to that? Can you say, Do you have like that mind-blowing moment? Even like the dream rock, right? I mean, what are
Mhm.
the odds that I would find? I mean, who's ever seen a dream rock at the Dollar Tree? I never had,
Right.
you know. So
No.
to me, that's paranormal because I can't really. I mean, I guess people would say it's just a coincidence, but it was just it was a cool coincidence. So
And
I
who
guess
spits out
like,
rocks? You know?
I guess I do. But it's funny because it was a word, right? I'm spitting out, like
Yeah.
talking, like it's all
Uh-huh.
just it's strange.
Yeah,
But
that is so cool. Well, I know Daryl, he also asked, he said, "How would you help someone who has the paranormal world entering their dreams?"
and you don't want that to happen, I would say you definitely just set boundaries. Say that I don't want this to happen and keep a journal. And I actually like this. I got this obsidian and I put it at my
Yes.
computer to protect me from negative stuff coming through the computer. But
Yeah.
you could put it on your night table and it's just a visual comfort that you can look at. It's supposed to absorb the negative energy. But I think in those kind of things, you definitely have to say, I don't want this to happen. And then when it does happen, though, you need to kind of journal those dreams and ask yourself, what is this person or entity trying to tell me in the dream? Because maybe if you can get what they're trying to relate to you, they would leave you alone because you've gotten what the message is they want to give you. So
Mhm.
that would be my couple of suggestions. If they're just going to keep after you, then try to figure out what they want so that they can move on.
Yeah, and I've heard some of your theories where because you asked some great questions whenever, like when we've been doing the lives, when we did the live season and stuff. I love your theory about some of the things we could be communicating with, some of the people we might be communicating with during these paranormal investigations could be people dreaming.
Yeah, I've really wondered, and that's why I set up the camera in my office to see if I had any shadow figures because it makes sense to me that if you're seeing a shadow figure and they're not really usually shadow figures don't seem to notice us, they're just there or they're just watching. And how many times have you had a dream where you're just standing there watching somebody that you don't even know? I've had a lot of dreams like
Yeah.
that. I've been like on a ship watching two people in an engine room. I don't know why I'm having that dream, but I was only observing. So instead of like interacting with the characters in the dream, you're just watching, you're just observing. So that's kind of what gave me the idea because I feel like shadows tend to just be observing.
I like that because shadows are not always they're not always dark like, people want to say they are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great theories behind that. Um, let's see. I'll make sure I don't miss anything here. Um, okay, so Trista says, we had an investigation scheduled, and the father who had passed came to my dreams. She freaked out when she saw his picture in the home.
Oh, so you saw him in the dream before. Wow, that's really cool. I love that.
Yeah. And I love talking about these different theories of who we're communicating with because you have your just your classic belief that we're speaking to a spirit in, the that's gone on to the afterlife. But then when you start looking at like time slips and dimensions and dreams and everything, that really adds a really interesting level to this that and I could see where some of the responses that we get when we're doing this, how that could line up with somebody in the dream world, whether they're
Yeah.
intentionally trying to be there or whether
Yeah.
they've essentially astral projected to there.
Right. Because think about how when you're usually with EVPs, the people almost sound sleepy. They almost sound a little bit confused or in and out, right? So, like when you're dreaming, that's kind of how everything is kind of like more. I guess the word I would use is like kind of floaty, and you're kind of in and out of like figuring it out. Everything's like kind of slower and just different. And so it reminds me of a lot of EVPs I've heard. The people usually sound confused, you
Yeah.
know? So, I mean, when I have a lot of dreams, it's usually strangers. So, I don't know. There must be a way to experiment with that.
Mm-hmm.
probably in a paranormal investigation. And I've told people, ask,
Mm-hmm.
are you dreaming or are you awake, and see what kind of response you get, see what they say, because that's a thing for lucid dreaming that might cause them to lucid dream and really interact with you. I don't know.
Well, it's kind of funny because and I don't know what this really was, but I do like to sleep when I go to some of these investigations, and not a lot of places now allow you to do, the true overnights and stuff. And so this was actually an investigation of Post Town with Sarah Jane and Christy and her twin sister Jenny and myself. We were there at Post Town, and so we did end up spending the night there. But I got so tired and exhausted, and I thought, I'm going to go up on the second floor. There was almost like this little alcove there. I thought, I'm going to take a nap because I was just so exhausted. And so I laid down and I turned a body camera on me when I went to sleep. And I think I slept for maybe 45 minutes to an hour out of the investigation. But it was one of those weird times where I didn't feel like I had slept because I felt like I was laying there in the windowsill, or it was almost like a window seat. So I was laying in the window seat and I dreamed that I closed my eyes and I saw Chris and Jenny and Sarah Jane wander off down the hall. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep. But I was actually already asleep when I was seeing
Oh,
this. And
huh.
so I thought that Chris came back and she was yelling and she was like standing there. She was like, did you decide to go to sleep? And then she was just like totally going off. And she was like, was that you that I heard down here? And she's like, I'm talking to you. When I talk to you, you're supposed to respond. And so she's
Oh.
sitting there yelling, and I was sitting there like, what happened to you? I thought I was awake, but I was actually
Yeah.
dreaming this. And her
Wow.
face was like over exaggerated, as she
Huh.
was doing this. And I just remember I was kind of mad when I woke up because I was like, why did they come and yell at me? I've just been laying here in the window seat.
Yeah.
And, turns out they never even came back down that side. But I swore I thought she came back and was, like, yelling at me for
Yeah.
making noise. Now,
Huh.
I didn't see anything on the video, but, I mean, you see me, I'm just laying there asleep the whole time. It was just kinda weird. I don't know why I dreamed of the situation being what
Yeah.
was going on.
I don't know.
It
Could
was just odd.
could a spirit have used Chris as a familiar face to interact with you and was yelling at you
Possibly.
like, "Why are you sleeping?" And they're out, you know what I mean? Like it was trying to get you to wake up, maybe didn't want you sleeping there. I don't
Very
know. That's
possible.
kind of
Of
cool.
course, you're not supposed to sleep in school, so,
Exactly.
but I thought it was kind of an interesting interaction. I
Yeah.
actually had some, audio footage that I've not gone back and listened to of that. I need to go back
Oh,
and listen
yeah.
to because sometimes
Yeah.
audio picks up much better than the video
Yeah.
on those sort of things. But
Oh, keep us
it
posted.
is I will. Let's see. Nancy says, "Do you notice more people with near-death experiences have more abilities?"
Uh, I haven't been around enough people to know, but I do know somebody very close to me who has, and definitely yes. But I don't know if that's a coincidence or not. I tend to think that abilities are stronger, like in families. Like I don't know that. Like I said, I think everybody has psychic abilities and they could tap into
Mhm.
it. But some families, even if they don't really work with it, it's just there.
Yeah.
They just seem to, it's more, their gifts are more present, and I don't
Mhm.
know if it's just because it's an interest or what it is, but I do notice that like if you meet a mother who's a psychic, the daughter almost always seems to be the father, the daughter. Like I don't think it matters, it's not like the
Mhm.
seventh sister or whatever. I think it's
Yeah.
everybody in the family tends to have it. So
Yeah, that's kind of been my experience that I found with people that I know that have those. Um, now, Bob mentions this, and this kind of ties me back to what we were talking about before the show. Bob says black tourmaline and selenite sticks under your bed will keep bad dreams away.
Yeah.
But
Worth a shot.
sounds to me like you want to have those dreams. Maybe not bad ones, but that kind of ties in or brings me back to what we were talking about before we came on the show. And I was really fascinated because we were talking about John Tenney's experiment that he did a long time ago with sleeping with the recorder, or I mean the VHS recorder,
Yeah.
tape under your pillow. And you said you did that and actually got some interesting results.
Yeah. So he put out that you take a VHS tape and a magnet, you sleep with it under your pillow. And he did it lots of times and he got like a building. And so you're supposed to take the tape. So obviously supposed to be a brand new blank tape. And you put the tape in the VCR and then you watch it and you wait for like a blip. And that's where you've got to find it. And so I did it for fun,
Mm-hmm.
And when I did find a blip, I like recorded the blip and then I screenshotted the static and it's like somebody's trying to call me. And I got what some people described as looking like an angel in there. And I don't really remember having a dream, but I did bring it up. But somebody keeps calling me. I'm getting a FaceTime for one of my son's friends. I don't know if I swipe it, if it'll actually answer it. But
I know
anyways,
it's one of those you're like afraid to do anything because then it's like.
But it looks like in the snow, it looks like an angel, and it could be pareidolia, But I did put it on my blog. Wait, okay, let's see. And so I did screenshot. I don't know if you're going to be able to make it out or not through my phone and the TV, but it looks like you can just see my fingerprints. Yeah, you can't tell. But
And you say that's in your blog?
Yeah, it's in my blog. Okay. It's in the Illusions from the Side of the Road blogs. I have 2 blogs.
Okay, let's see. I think let's see here.
It should say paranormal blog or paranormal. If I put it in there.
I thought I saw.
Yeah, it's probably on my other link tree.
Okay. I'm just going to type that on here. You said Illusions from the Side of the Road.
Yeah. Illusions from the Side of the Road. Yeah. It's the link tree.
Okay.
But I mean, that's what kind of got me started on the whole dream experiment, because I thought it was fascinating that, whether that really was something or not, it was a cool thing to try, because it just seems ridiculous that you could imprint something on a tape through a pillow.
Well, I mean, it does seem ridiculous, but I mean, there's got to be another way to measure that. I mean, if we are truly imprinting, I mean, that's a pretty cool way to do that. Do you ever set recorders up whenever you dream? Not just like video recorders, but audio recorders?
I don't, but I really should. We did it one time when we first got our cameras. We set one up and I didn't see anything unusual except like the cats were walking by and stuff like that. But I would like to get some sort of an app. And you were telling me about that. What was that app called?
Seer,
where it records, it gives you an actual recording, like visuals of what you're dreaming, I guess, or just experiencing.
Well, so it doesn't so much go with dreaming, but I think it would be a cool way for you to incorporate that into it. And probably some of the folks over here in the chat room may have used Seer, and I think it's connected with there with GhostTube, I believe. And I think it would be neat to utilize that when you're dreaming, because I don't know a whole lot about it. I know it utilizes AI and virtual reality goggles, and then of course that app, and supposedly the spirits can manipulate that, and it gives you visions. And so I think it would be interesting, take the paranormal aspect out of it, but have it on when you're dreaming, because it will
Yeah.
record and you may not see it and remember, but it would be interesting to see if it recorded anything that was related to your dream.
Yeah.
We had a lady come into the jail. She was using Seer out in the parking lot, and so she came in just for a simple face flashlight tour. And so when we got up in the women's cell, so unfortunately, whenever they got the tourism grant, they painted over some of the graffiti inside the jail.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we did this community program where basically people could quote unquote tag the cells, and so they could buy a canvas and they could put anything on the canvas, and we would hang it up in the jail. It could be a poem, it could be a drawing, it could be song lyrics. And so this lady had painted what looks like this beautiful like trail with like cherry blossom trees and stuff around it. And as soon as we got into that room on the tour, the lady who had used the Seer app was like, "Oh my gosh." She said, "That picture on the wall." She said, "What is that?" And she said, "That came up on my Seer before I came in
Huh.
here."
Wow.
Now, it was black and white. It wasn't in color, but she showed it to me, and it was very similar to a portion of that picture. Like someone
Huh.
had just taken a picture of the corner of it. How
Yeah.
it's related, I don't know, but I
Yeah.
think that would be interesting to dream and see if you could either imprint or if it could pick up on whatever something from your dream. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I love that idea. I really want to. I'm going to look that up and see what I can do with it, because the idea of being able to record your dreams is so much better than, like I said, I just started taking my dreams and turning them into, I like dream and then I write it out and then I rewrite it as a short story.
Uh-huh.
And then what I started doing, so it's kind of a new way to try to interpret your dreams.
Mhm.
And so I take images from the Bing chat and I put in all the images that I think fit, to what I saw somewhat,
Mhm.
and then I recite the dream and like with the emotions I felt during the dream. And then I was able to analyze it. And it really shows you, like when you're reading your own dream aloud like that, it shows you, and you record yourself, it shows you the high and low points of your dream. So I almost
Okay.
wonder if there's like an AI app, like a video app, where you can recite like your dream and it would give you images. I mean, it's kind of like
Mhm.
the images are so, but it gives you an idea of
Mhm.
what the person was seeing, because most of us are visual. If we see
Yeah.
and hear something together, it really, locks it
Mhm.
in our mind. So
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing about this program. Like I said, I don't know anything about the coding on it. And usually anytime I'm doing anything paranormal or whatever with an app or anything like that, I like to know how it's coded and that sort of thing. I know
yeah.
that this is used in airplane mode, and like I said, in conjunction with the virtual reality classes. And
Yeah.
so it doesn't have to be, but that helps because I mean, you're wearing them in that sense. And so I just
Yeah.
think it'd be interesting to take that a step further and
Yeah. Oh,
see
me
because
too.
we have gotten some interesting results there at the jail. I know Chris has that now that we were going to experiment with. And then I know we've had at least 3 teams that have come in. And Paranormal Quest did it on their episode, and actually where it recorded the visions. And it actually
Oh.
it's interesting, in one area it caught a very tall gentleman wearing a suit and hat, and you can see
Mhm.
him from the back, and he's kind of staring out like he's looking over a plane of some sort. And
Wow.
he's wearing the exact same suit that Sheriff Richard Ellis, that was killed at the
Wow.
front door of the jail, was wearing
Oh my
with in
God.
one of our pictures. Yeah, he was 6'8", and he had this suit and had this hat on, and he's standing next to a horse. And it's a very similar picture that Seer captured.
Wow.
Also, one of the rooms, it had something, and it kind of looked like I thought it looked like crack rocks or something in the picture, which we were in a jail, so it could be somebody telling a story about why they were there in jail. So
Yeah.
some of the
Hmm.
captures that this caught, some of it is up for interpretation, and others, it is interesting that they caught some of the things that they did. You could sort of see correlations. So there's been some pretty interesting results. So I'll get you more
Wow.
information on that. I think
Yeah,
it'd be something that'd be neat to experiment with.
definitely.
Um, and let's see here. Just gonna make sure I'm not missing anybody's questions here. So if you do have any questions, we're getting here close to the end of the show, y'all. So if you will get those in, and we'll make sure that Deedee can answer them if let's see. Um, D Hoot says, "What is your theory about people who rarely remember dreaming?"
Well, the theory is that if you're not interested, like it comes down to if you're really interested and you put in the time, you are dreaming and you will remember.
Mhm.
Everybody dreams. That's part of our like process. I mean, I guess there could be certain medications that make it hard, things like that. But normally speaking, everyone dreams. And so it's just a lack of interest. If you really wanted to know, you would be able to figure out your dreams, even a little bit. Like, have you ever met someone who says they've had not had one single dream ever their entire life? Then maybe they're not dreaming, I guess. But I mean, usually when people say, I can't remember my dreams, but I can tell you about this dream before, they do remember their dreams. There's just certain ones that stand out to them. But to say you've never, ever dreamed or remember a dream, then that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. And you were talking about something you said a minute ago, not to kind of jump around, but something you said a minute ago kind of triggered this thought I was going to ask. So you said a lot of the time you dream about people that you don't know. They're usually strangers.
Yeah.
And I had heard one time, and I don't know if this is accurate. It's one of those they say sort of things. But they say that you don't dream about people that you don't know or that you hadn't seen at some
Yeah.
point. Is that true from what you found, or do we dream about people we don't know?
Well, I read it was an article and it was psychiatry based, and they said that we dream of people that we've seen at any time in our life or a combination. So it could be like, you went to the shopping mall and you saw 50 people, and your subconscious somehow combines the different faces and creates new people. So
Okay.
that's that theory. Um, it could also be that it's ancestral, like it could even be people that they knew. There's the collective consciousness where maybe you didn't see them, but I saw them, and that's why they can appear in your dreams. There's a lot of different ways you can look at it.
Okay.
I don't know, but I almost always dream about strangers. When I dream about people I know, I really try to pay attention because I feel like that's very important, being
Mhm.
that that's not my normal type of dreaming. So
Well,
I don't
and
know, you know.
well, at one point they also, I've dreamed about people that didn't look like the person, but you knew it was
Yeah.
that person by, I
Yeah.
guess, their personality, but they looked nothing like the person.
Yeah, yeah, that's a common thing too. And so then what that's saying is that this is your perception of them or the way you feel about them. So you have to really look at that. Like, what did they
Mhm.
look like? What does that mean? Because that could be really interesting how you feel about that person. But that person could also represent something about you, you
Well,
know.
have you seen, or heard of this guy in this picture?
I feel like I've seen that someplace before.
So, I think he's a creepy looking guy, but he's known
Yeah.
as this man,
Mhm.
and, he ever since, and he even has a wiki page, but, apparently he mysteriously, or he is a mysterious individual who's purportedly appeared in dreams of numerous people around the world since 2006. No one knows who his identity is, but, they refer to him as this man.
They
And
made a movie
so
about that.
oh, did they?
I Yeah, I just watched a movie about that. It was oh my god, really famous guy. I'm trying to think. He's played in 2 vampire shows. Oh my god, somebody help me. Oh,
Well, actually, it says on this guy,
oh
it
my
says
god.
there's evidence of this man in dreams going all the way back to the 1980s.
Yeah. Oh my god, I feel so bad. I can't remember this. It's a really good movie. It's funny. It's about a guy who's just like some random school teacher and like a professor, and he starts appearing in people's dreams, and it's really fun. And then as it goes on, like he's starting to do bad things to people in their dreams. I can't think of what the
Oh,
guy's
wow.
name is. He married a younger girl. Um, I'm trying to think of what movies he's been in. He was in like Aircon or Con Air or uh
Um, was it Nicolas Cage?
Nicolas Cage, yeah. Look
Okay.
up Nicolas Cage and the movie. I think it's like Dreaming or something about dreams. It's a really good movie, and that touches on that whole theory about,
Ah,
dreaming about somebody that's like
okay.
everyone, a collective person.
Uh,
Dreamscape.
Dreamscape. Yeah, I think Bob mentioned that earlier, I believe. I think I saw that when I
Yeah.
was scrolling through. Um, let's see here. Yeah, he says earlier in the conversation, Dreamscape was a great movie with interesting implications.
Yeah.
All right. Let me just make sure here. Um, as I'm scrolling through, looking to make sure I've not missed anything, Deedee, go ahead and plug all the different projects that you've got going on now, your shows. Because I know you just did a show recently with where you had Sonia on. I know you had me on your show where we were talking about
Yeah.
season 6. So yeah, so go ahead and plug all that, and I'm going to go through and make sure I've not missed anything.
Okay. The Haunted Hour podcast is my podcast, which is on my YouTube channel, and I interview people about the paranormal, all the way to like wellness, manifestation, dreams. Kind of like it stays in the paranormal wheelhouse, but it's kind of like everyone in the community. And then I on some Sundays I do a show called The Awakening with my friend Danny, and she pulls tarot cards, and I do dream interpretations. We just answer questions. We're going to do our next one's on the 24th of this month, which if that's a Sunday. And we're going to be talking about dream paralysis. And so we're going to share our own stories about dream paralysis. And we're inviting anyone who's had an experience with dream paralysis. If you want to send it in and have us share it with everybody live and talk about it, we can do that. And then my dream interpretations, I do shorts where I talk about dream symbols and give you ideas of what they could mean. Sometimes I'll pull cards and tell you like inspiration of dreams. I do dream interpretations. That's the dreamsinterpreter.com, where you can have a private dream interpretation and a card pull. I think that's it. Oh, and then sometimes I do like haunted travel, and I do have something coming up this fall that I did tell Miranda about, that I'm going to be filming
Yes.
with my husband and son, and it's something different. And if you're interested in California, it's going to be happening in California, and I think everyone will really enjoy it. So stay tuned for that too.
Yeah, and Deedee, her shorts are really cool, and she'll go on there and talk about it. May be something simple like, if you dream of a river or a star, like you said, and talking about these dream symbols. And so, definitely go on, check out her pages. We've shared the link tree multiple times. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually share the link tree again in the comment section here. Go on. She's got something for everyone, on this, and her videos. I know the one that we were just talking about, dreaming about death and transition, and dreaming about the end, those sort of things. Her YouTube channel has got all kinds of videos, and she has done a great job of dividing these into playlists here, so you can follow along and easily find a topic that interests you there, and easily just go and watch the different videos on it. So I totally agree with what Bob is saying up here, that I need to definitely have you back on and talk more about some dream theories, because it really is fascinating because I mean, it is something we all do, and it's
Yeah.
interesting how we connect with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's a missed opportunity if you're not working with your dreams, because it can really change your life.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And guys, keep on the lookout for these dream studies that Deedee has on here, because she's she puts those out there from time to time, and if you want to be a part of that, you're going to be a part of something really, really cool. And so yeah, check out the Facebook page, check out the YouTube channel, and show her some love, and subscribe to her content. We would definitely all appreciate that, because
Yeah.
we say it every time that content creators, it's definitely something that people put their heart, soul, finances, and everything into it. And
Yeah.
just giving that thumbs up, sharing the stuff out, and coming on shows like this, and commenting and supporting these content creators goes a long way to getting more content put out as well.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate you guys. And just on a programming note, let me double check here because I want to make sure that I'm telling you guys right. There will not be a show next week. I'm going to be going down to Murfreesboro and supporting my business partner, Christy Sumner. She's going to be speaking at the Tennessee Association of Museums. I know some of you participated in her survey and her study that she put out with paranormal investigation locations, and after dark tourism and paranormal investigators. So she's going to be actually revealing the study results to that at that conference next Thursday. So we probably will not be back in time because it's all the way over in Nashville. But on the 28th, I will be having Ernie and Denise Pack on, and they're going to be talking about their location, Fort Duffield, which is up there in the Louisville, Kentucky area. So definitely want to hear about that and some of the cool things that they've got going on, because they're another group that does a lot for historic preservation and restoration. So we'll be talking about that. And then, of course, we'll be moving on into April, and we will be having Mr. Ronnie Anderson on the Ghost Biker Garage. He's been on here before as well. So he's going to be talking about Bedford Paranormal and some of the cool things that they've got going on as well. So just stay tuned for the website for any other cool things that are going on. And until next week, until the next time, we will definitely see you then. So good night, everyone.
Bye.